Hi guys, happy Tuesday. So today is day 2 of the challenge. As you can probably hear, I've got a cold, so bear with me. My throat is getting worse through the day. Having a cold when you're talking is not a good, not a good start, is it? So my name is Claire, as you know. I am an emotional wellbeing therapist and coach. And today is day 2 of the sleep challenge, and today is all about goal setting. So I wanted to help you to start to think about some of the things that are important that you want to focus on around sleep. So when we think about sleep, we think about I think quite often we think about trying to fix everything all in one go. So it's really important that we start to really focus on one thing really. From this week, I really want you guys to have one thing that you're going to focus on for, the next period of time around your sleep. So that could be falling asleep quicker. It could be sleep without waking up in the night. It could be stopping waking early. It could be waking up feeling refreshed. Everyone's different with where they're at. So really spend some time on this one to really start to think about what's important to you. What I would say is it's really important that we get intentional with our goal setting. We're really good, aren't we, at kind of going, yeah, I need 7 hours sleep, right? That's great. But like, how do we do that? And how do we achieve that 7 hours sleep? So that's kind of what I wanted to focus on today, because if we're not on track with it, we can easily go off on different directions and follow other avenues and go, oh, I'll try this, I'll try that, I'll try this, I'll try that. One of the most common things that I see when I'm working with people is that they go, oh, I've tried this, I've tried that, I've tried this, I've tried that. When we understand actually how long people have tried things for, potentially some things they've only tried once or twice. And what I would say is with anything, the consistency is key. So making sure that you've had a good solid innings of something for, like, it takes 2 to 4 weeks for a habit to form. So it's not a quick fix, this, but it is about getting intentional and making sure that we do one thing and focus on doing that. And then once we've done that, it's focusing on the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So we call it stacking, habit stacking. So we can habit stack everything. So that's kind of what the focus is from today. Bear with me, my nose is absolutely streaming. My delightful 2.5-year-old came home with a cold on Friday and has really thoughtfully shared it with everybody. So I thought it was hay fever yesterday. I started coming down with a bit of something, but it's not. So I'm getting croakier and croakier through the day. So I want to give you guys as much information as I can today, so I'm going to be talking really quickly. If you've got any questions, stick them in the chat as normal, write #replay, and I will get to stuff as and when. And also feel free, if you want to message me and we can talk through some things specific to your needs as well. So I'm here for you this week. Yesterday, if you missed it, we talked about a bit about why sleep's important and a bit about what sleep is and where your sleep is currently. We did a little exercise around that, so if you haven't done that, you can drop into that at your leisure. It's not going anywhere, it's staying in the group. If you signed up, you'll get it on your emails as well. If there's any issues with any of the tech stuff, let me know, because this is still new to me, so bear with me. But yeah, basically the focus for today is looking at these goal settings. So for those of you who have worked with me before, who've been in here a little while, would have heard me talk about SMART goals. Some people would have heard the term SMART. Some people would be like, what the hell are you talking about? SMART goals are around getting something specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-based. So it keeps your goals on track and stops you chasing shiny things and drifting off into different other things. So we need to make sure that happens, and we also need to make sure that we're not focusing on the negative stuff. So by goal setting, we're actually focusing on what we want to achieve and not on where the problem is. Quite often we love problems as a human race, don't we? We sit there and we focus on, you know, I can't sleep, I'm just not a good sleeper. We have all this self-talk that talks to us about how, you know, oh well, you know, I'm a night owl, so I don't go to bed before midnight and I can't possibly, you know. So there's all this stuff that we talk to ourselves. So it's really interesting when we start to bring some of this stuff into our awareness, we can like look at it and assess whether or not we feel it's fact or fiction, because sometimes we have a view that things are fact and actually they're not fact. They're just lots of beliefs built on top of each other. So sometimes we need to, that's why people like myself get involved, to help you break down some of those limiting beliefs, some of those difficulties that you're having and some of those struggles. So focusing on solutions helps us to start to find a bit of a path. Okay, so when you think about specific goals, you might have a specific goal in mind. So you need to think about spending a little bit about your sleep goals, because this process as well, about thinking through it in this terminology, will help you to start to focus on your goals and is helpful in itself. So that's really important. So when you think about measuring a goal, like sleep's a construct, it's not like weight loss. You know, with weight loss it's much easier to measure it, isn't it, and go, right, you know, I want to lose a stone, or I want to lose half a stone, or I want to lose a pound, or whatever it is. With sleep, unless you do it on like, I want to achieve 7 hours sleep, it's quite difficult to look at you know, measuring our sleep, because sometimes, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I can have 6 hours sleep and feel completely refreshed, and sometimes I can have 6 hours sleep and feel completely unrefreshed. Sometimes I can have 8 hours sleep, but it's been horrible sleep and not very good quality sleep, and so it doesn't feel like good sleep. So it is about not just looking at the amount of time that you're asleep, but also what we call sleep efficiency, like how good a quality sleep you've got. And what we know is that by having like what you want is to be in bed and asleep for the whole time you're in bed, and then you wake up and you feel refreshed. But quite often what happens with our cycle of sleep is that we go in and out of sleep cycles. So sometimes we have a good quality sleep, sometimes we don't. And sometimes we can be in bed for like 10 to 12 hours, but have only slept for 6 hours of that. And so it's about really unpicking like what measurable stat you want to focus on. So I would say really looking at that side of things is really important. That's the importance of sleep diaries, which is something that we're going to be talking about today as well, because it's really important that you start to kind of become aware of some of the stuff that's going on. So so that's the bit about being measurable. We also look at achievable goals. So if you're sleeping for, I know some of you in the group were saying that you'd only slept for 2 hours, some people were saying 6 hours. You know, if you're wanting to sleep for 7 hours and you're only sleeping for 2, that's not necessarily an achievable goal at the moment. That's a long-term goal, you know. So it's about looking at some of the really specific you know, achievable goals that you can do now. So looking at where you want to be in, say, 6 weeks, 8 weeks time, you know, and it may be that you focus on a smaller time to start up with, or it might be looking at, you know, certain things when it comes to sleep that's more achievable for you. So maybe like achievable bedtimes, and that's kind of why I talked about night owls and early birds yesterday. You know, I'm a night owl, so for me, I couldn't go to bed at 9 o'clock because it's not achievable for me. Whereas, you know, for some of you that are early birds, you know, you're probably ready for bed at 9 o'clock, and, you know, the thought of you staying up till 11, 12 o'clock would be quite, you know, wouldn't be achievable as well. So it's when we're looking at our sleep diaries, we're looking for the windows of like our optimum window for us. And that can be really hard to work out, but that's the joy of doing these sleep diaries. Over a period of time, we can really build up that idea and that concept for you. So so looking at what comes to about, you know, an achievable rate for you. What we know is that CBTI, for example, the CBT for insomnia approach that I use for people who are struggling with insomnia, it does help, you know, 70% of people with poor sleep. So it is a proven scientific based approach that really does help people. to start to make these shifts with their habits. And it's all about breaking patterns. You know, we know ourselves, if you're constantly craving a biscuit at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, if you're going to the biscuit tin every day at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it's about shifting that process and changing it and doing something different. So it is like, it's the same kind of thing, but obviously with sleep it's a much harder thing to kind of focus on sometimes, because I think a lot of us feel like we're not in as much control. So it is about really focusing these things to something that's achievable for you. You know, and I think sometimes with partners as well, like, you know, some people prefer to go to bed at 9 and other people prefer to go to bed later. And so sometimes the partner that's a night owl maybe might like feel that they should go to bed at 9 o'clock because that's when their other partner goes to bed. You know, so it's kind of working out some realistic targets for yourself as to what you really want to focus on. That really keeps us on track. So going into realistic, just going to have a sip of water. If there's any questions, pop them in the chat while we're going, because I'm aware I'm talking really fast. I want to get as much content over to you guys as I can. I hope you can understand me okay with my throat today. So, oh, that's better. So thinking about realistic targets, thinking about something that that we need to set as like an interim goal. So on your PDF documents, I would have asked you to kind of rate your current sleep on a scale of 0 to 10. So when you think about 10 being the most perfect sleep that it can be, the best it could be, and 0 and 1 the opposite, like where you are on the scale. You know, we're not trying to get to 10 straight away. You know, we're looking at the one thing, the small little targets that we can focus on. You know, for me, what I really want you guys to do is focus on something that you can do this week. Focus on one thing that you could change this week in your week to really start to notice a difference. So it could just be like, what would, like, say you're a 5 on the scale at the moment, what would get you to a 6? Like, what's that one thing that if you changed it today and I asked you that question tomorrow, you'd be saying 6? Like, it's a really small thing. You know, we're not talking about, you know, being able to sleep for 7-8 hours. You know, we're talking about the really, really minutiae detail of like, actually, and it might not even be related to actually being asleep. It could be actually one of the things that I know I need to do is to not work in my bedroom when I'm doing my office work in the daytime. Or one thing I know I need to do is make sure I get outside and have some fresh air every day. You know, it could be something like that, because we know that all these things are so interlinked. It could be something to do with hydration and water and nutrition. You know, it could be that actually I'm going to focus more on making sure I drink enough, because I know that that's something that my body needs at the moment to be able to help me to sleep better. So all these things link together, and so it can feel really overwhelming for people of like, oh, you know I need to do this with my breakfast, I know I need to do this with my food, I know I need to do that with my hydration, I know I need to do more exercise, I know I need to do this, and it can feel really overwhelming. Like, where do you start? So what I would say is start with the thing that feels most important to you at this moment in time. So what's the one thing that you can focus on this week? And I'll pop that in the group for people to ponder and talk about with each other as well, because I think it's about helping each other through this as well. You know, sometimes we can find it really hard to think of one thing because we want to just fix everything. So just having something that's really realistic, a really good piece of thing that you're going to really focus on will really make a massive difference. And the last thing is about having it time-based. So setting a really realistic time. So for me, for you guys this week, I want you to think of something you can do this week, right? But going forward, it could be that you have a weekly goal. It could be that you have a monthly goal. It could be that you have a 2-monthly goal. It could be that you have, you know, by the summer that you want to do this. You know, by setting a real key time frame, it really helps us to keep focused and keep on track, and stops us from drifting into other things. Because I don't know about you guys, but I know when I'm not sleeping well, I might be like, oh, well, I need to do this and I need to do that and I need to do that and I need to do that. And there's so many different things that you try and pick up as you go along. And you know, notably, you know, if you're trying to juggle too many things, then like you end up dropping all the balls, don't you? So it's about just focusing on like one thing each time. So that's the kind of the goal setting side of things that I wanted to go through today. The other thing I wanted to think about for you guys is the obstacles. So what's stopping you from doing it at the moment? You know, it might be that you're working from home and that you have to work in your bedroom. It might be that, you know, you're not getting out and about. Sorry, bear with me. So whatever it is for you, drop it in the messages. Let me know what you're struggling with. It could be motivation. It could be that you don't feel motivated to do these things because you feel like you've tried stuff so many times. And what I want you to do is to get that mindset out of your head, because if you feel like you've tried everything and nothing works, then that's the self-talk that you're going to be talking to yourself. So guess what? Nothing's going to work, because that's the mindset that you've got. So it is about shifting that thought and looking at, you know, interim things like I can try, I'm becoming, you know, those kind of words are really powerful in helping us to start to think about goals in the right way. So that's what I wanted to talk about in that sense. And then your sleep diaries. I have attached as part of today your PDF, which is about this goal setting and making sure that you've got your goals for the week, and also your sleep diaries. So on Thursday, we're going to be going through, I want to talk you through how we look at a sleep diary and what the information that I'm really looking at. So it would be really good if you guys could commit to today and tomorrow of doing your sleep diaries. And I know a lot of people have tracker watches, and I use it too, but just be mindful that the tracker watch isn't necessarily active. I'm sure you've all had that experience where it's told you it generally tends to overestimate your sleep, I find. So it will tell me that I've had like 6 hours sleep, but I know that I was awake at some of the times when it said, but it bases it on your sort of movement and on various different things. So it's not, you know, there is no accurate way of measuring our sleep, is there? Because our own perception can be different as well. But making sure that we're covering all bases as much as possible will help us to start to unpick it. So your sleep diaries are fairly straightforward. It's looking at what time you went to bed. Like what I'm looking at getting from this information is how much time you're spending in bed to how much time you're asleep. And when you wake up, how much time you're awake for. So it's to start to get a really clear sense about what your sleep pattern looks like. And it may well be that your sleep pattern over the next couple of days isn't a generally typical sleep pattern. When we assess our sleep diaries, we usually do 2 weekly, so that we've got a really clear, we've got a really clear pattern to go on. But what I want to do is give you something to take away this week, where you can then start to look at your sleep diaries yourself and make those you know, changes yourself as well. And also it does like then lend itself that if you did want to join me on my sleep course, which I will talk about a little bit later on in the week, that we'll have this data already that we can get started straight away. So for me, it's really important that you can make time to just fill in your sleep diaries. It doesn't take very long. It's not onerous task. A couple of minute tick box questions, just about, you know, trying to get a sense of your sleep. If you can put it by your bed, and then it can be the first thing you do when you wake up. You know, because I don't know about you guys, I'm not someone that springs out of bed. I take a good 15 minutes to get out of bed in the morning, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter. But, you know, like having that kind of space to kind of work out, actually, you know, is it about getting out of bed? Is it about staying in bed? Like what are the issues? It will start to bring up some of those patterns for us, and then we can bring it into our awareness to make the changes. So I hope that makes sense. If you're struggling with what's in the sleep diaries, again, just drop me a message and just say, Claire, I just really don't understand this. Can you just help me? We can always jump on a call this week and I can talk you through it. I want this to be really helpful for you, and I want you to kind of really understand it and understand, you know, what your sleep looks like. It's probably something that some of you probably have never even thought about before, because again, like what society tells us is very much around, you know, when you're tired, you go to bed early, but sometimes that can be counterintuitive. And a lot of the things that we're told about our day can be counterintuitive as well. You know, if you're tired, just rest during the day. Again, that's so counterintuitive, but it's stuff that we've been drummed in from like a little child about this is what we do and this is how we do it. So tomorrow I'm going to be focusing more on the stuff. So the things that that really help our sleep drive, the things that help our body clock, and the things that help our arousal. So tomorrow is really key. It's about all the tips that you can use to start to think about some of the things that you want to change. I hope today's been helpful. I'll pop a little message in the group. Do get in touch if you need anything, and I think that's everything. Take care, look after yourselves, and hopefully I'll have a little bit more voice tomorrow. Take care, bye.